All right, guys, so we got some big news here that I wanted to break down for you. Trump is doing a purge at the Pentagon, and we're going to get into the reasons he's doing it. Some of them are pretty obvious intuitively, but I'll break it down for you. So here, let's watch a little report on it, and then I'll give you more specifics.
As we come on the air this Friday night, a major purge at the Pentagon is underway. President Trump has just fired the highest-ranking military officer in the country who still had years left on his term, along with several other top military officials. Air Force General Charles C.Q. Brown, who was serving as the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, was just dismissed publicly, at least via a social media post by Trump. That's how we found out that Brown's 40-year distinguished career in the military was over, and a long-rumored move that may be shocking but is not exactly surprising based on our reporting. Just hours ago, General Brown was at the southern border assessing the military's progress and fortifying sections of the border wall. He was the successor in this role. You'll remember the person who served before him, General Mark Milley. That was who Trump handpicked, actually, to be the Joint Chiefs chairman in his first term in office. Things deteriorated from there, but Milley continued on in this role under President Biden. Now, in this post tonight, when we read it closely, the president gave no reason for why he is ousting Chairman Brown from this role, only thanking him for his service and announcing his replacement. More on who that replacement is in a moment. But behind this decision...
So apparently the replacement, as you're not going to be surprised to learn, is a complete and utter dead-eyed psychopath. You know, one of those guys who's like, "Sir, I'd do anything for you, sir. You mean everything to me, sir?" I think it's one, what is it, Raisin Kane or something Kane? It's not Dean Kane, that's the actor guy, but something Kane, I think.
We know Trump had been weighing replacing C.Q. Brown for months. Last November, then Fox News host and now the current Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, gave this reason for why he thought Brown should be fired.
Well, first of all, you got to fire, you got to fire the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, and you got to fire this. I mean, obviously, you're going to bring in a new Secretary of Defense, but any general that was involved, general, admiral, whatever that was involved in any of the DEI woke, it's got to go.
By the way, when they talk about cutting the Pentagon, this is what they mean. We're going to find all the woke stuff, bro. Got to find all the DEI stuff, bro. We got to get rid of the Department of DEI at the Pentagon, bro. So when they say it, they don't mean what you and I mean when we say we're going to cut the Pentagon. When we say we're going to cut the Pentagon, we're like, hey, we can cut it like 50%. We spend nearly $1 trillion every year on it. We got 900 military bases around the world. We're currently bombing like 7 or 8 different countries. We still have troops in Iraq. We still have troops occupying a third of Syria to, quote, take the oil, using Trump's own words. There's plenty of stuff we can cut in there. Cut off those fucking contracts to Raytheon and Boeing and Halliburton and all these assholes who are doing war profiteering. That's what we mean. What they mean is, we got black people, bro. We got to get rid of them. What? Wait, did I say that out loud? Is that what we're doing? Okay, right, yep. Like, this is what they mean. And also, it was so funny. Trump comes out the other day and Hegseth says, we're going to do 8% cut in the Pentagon. That's what we're going to do. And then, within a couple days, Trump says, oh, I endorsed the Republican budget in the House, and that increases the military budget $100 billion. You literally can't make this up.
Now, that was before Hegseth had been nominated to be the defense secretary, accusing the 4-star fighter pilot as being, quote, involved in any of the woke DEI. It was quite a contrast to what we saw and heard from Secretary Hegseth weeks later when he said he was looking forward to working with Chairman C.Q. Brown, who saluted Hegseth's motorcade upon his first arrival at the Pentagon in January. Now, to put this in perspective for you tonight of this firing and what this means and how unprecedented this is, a prominent retired 4-star general expressed serious dismay over this to me, given the top military advisor has traditionally remained in place despite how administrations change from party to party. This general told me tonight that this move, firing C.Q. Brown, is, quote, sadly political and tragic for our nation. I have a team of sources here on this breaking news. Chris Marr, who is an assistant under the former Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, CNN's Pentagon correspondent Orrin Lieberman, CNN military analyst Colonel Cedric Leighton, and also CNN military analyst retired Major General James Spider Marks is also here with us. Great to have all of our experts. Orrin, what can you just tell us? Because it is much more than just C.Q. Brown that is being ousted here.
The firing in this way on social media on a Friday night of General C.Q. Brown, the top U.S. military officer, is in and of itself unprecedented. Even if, as you point out, it had been expected. The right wing had it out for Brown for quite some time. Frankly, we thought the firing might come earlier, but it's worth remembering that Trump and Brown met at the Army-Navy game. That seemed to be a bit of warming of relations. That, as we see, didn't last all that long. Brown fired on social media. Trump hinted there would be more firings to come, and just a few moments later, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth announced that Admiral Lisa Franchetti, the chief of the Navy and the first female on the Joint Chiefs of Staff, had been fired, as well as the vice chief of the Air Force. And he hinted or indicated that the JAGs, the Judge Advocates Generals, would be replaced for the Army, Navy, and the Air Force. That, too, is unprecedented.
Okay. Just so you understand what that means, he's firing a lot of the top military lawyers. That's what he's doing. So Pete Hegseth went on Fox News Sunday to talk about this. And yet again, look, the guy's a fucking idiot. So sometimes he accidentally tells the truth. He says the quiet part out loud. And this is one of those moments right here. Pay attention.
For people who may not know, I mean, they give advice to the military about what is lawful and what isn't. Not surprisingly, there's been some backlash to those who are worried about their removal. One Georgetown law professor says this: Trump also firing the Army, Navy, and Air Force JAGs. In some ways, that's even more chilling than firing the 4 stars. It's what you do when you're planning to break the law. You get rid of any lawyers who might try to slow you down. Your response to her?
I don't know who Rosa is and what her hyperbole is all about. Ultimately, we want lawyers who give sound constitutional advice and don't exist to attempt to be roadblocks to anything that happens in their spots.
Yeah, we don't want these lawyers to be roadblocks to President Trump's agenda. That's what he's saying. We don't want them to be roadblocks. Okay, to fire the top military lawyers at the same time, Trump is repeatedly warmongering. With Gaza, says we're going to own Gaza. With Greenland and Denmark, says he wants to take Greenland. Threatening Canada to be the 51st state. Threatening Mexico with an invasion and bombing in their territory. Threatening Iran repeatedly. Threatening a coup of Venezuela. Like, to say we don't want any roadblocks when this is the foreign policy agenda that Trump has laid out. This is like, yeah, we're going to go back to 1800 style imperialism and colonialism, and ain't nobody going to stop us. I don't care about the Geneva Conventions. I don't care about the Nuremberg Tribunal. I don't care about international law. I don't care about justice. I don't care about what's right. I want to do what I want to do. Terrifying, bro. He just admitted it. Hey, yeah, the top military lawyers, they could be roadblocks. They could say, hey, man, that's immensely illegal and you can't do that. And we want to say, fuck off. We're going to do it. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. All right, but it gets worse. It gets worse. It gets worse. Because, yes, they're clearing the way to go full 1800s imperialist and colonialist. They sent that contract to Ukraine and said, how about you give us 50% of all of your natural resources from now until forever? That's economic colonialism. So now they're stuck in between a psychotic dictator who illegally invaded them and wants to steal their country, Vladimir Putin, and the U.S., who's demanding colonization. All right. So ready for this? Remember, they got rid of U.S. aid, right? Or they basically totally dismantled the agency. U.S. aid is used for what's called soft power. So if you come in and you give medicine to some developing country, it's really hard for people in that country to hate you. So you create global allies all over the place, and that helps with trade routes. That helps with basically solidifying U.S. power. And when you dismantle that and you say, I don't care that your kid has fucking HIV, we're not giving you the medicine, well, guess what? That opens up the door for, say, China to come in. Hey, we'll build some infrastructure projects for you. We'll give your kids medicine. And so there's a global realignment happening, right? And so here's Eric Prince. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Eric Prince. Eric Prince is the head of the group that used to be called Blackwater. The old school you in the audience will know what that group is. It is a private mercenary army, a Christian fundamentalist army, which was used in Iraq. And in Iraq, they did countless war crimes, including one called the Nisour Square Massacre, where they showed up and opened fire on innocent people in a marketplace, gunned down so many innocent people. They were charged for it. They were found guilty. And then guess what? Donald Trump pardoned these war criminals who killed innocent civilians because Pete Hegseth knew them and came up to them and said, sir, I want you to pardon these people. That happened in his first term. So a mercenary army, a Christian fundamentalist mercenary army. The head of that, here he is speaking at CPAC. Listen to what he says.
Blackwater provided security for American companies. Now you have the Wagner Group providing security for Chinese enterprises, especially in Africa. Who is going to provide security for American businesses going forward?
Part of the issue with USAID, and I would say an over-reliance on U.S. government everywhere, doing stuff, wasting an enormous amount of money and not being very effective at it, is it really crowded out the private sector from doing a lot of those creative solutions. And I think the great thing about capitalism, if there's a demand signal, the private market will respond. And as American companies do start to go abroad for energy, minerals, infrastructure projects, American private sector will be there right there with them.
Do you understand what he's saying? We will be the enforcers for President Trump's foreign policy agenda of imperialism and colonialism. That's what he's saying. He literally put in a line about natural resources.
The great thing about capitalism, if there's a demand signal, the private market will respond. And as American companies do start to go abroad for energy, minerals, infrastructure projects, American private sector will be there right there with them.
This is fucking terrifying. So we have a president who's gone above and beyond even the neocon warmongering. We're going to warmonger with Denmark. We're going to steal Greenland. We want Canada to be the 51st state. We're going to take Panama. We're going to do war with Mexico. We're going to do war with Iran. We're going to own Gaza and illegally steal it from Palestinians. And here you have the head of a private Christian fundamentalist mercenary army who's saying, we will be the enforcers. We will go in there. We will do the dirty work. We will keep the order. We will pacify the indigenous populations. And we will help out with the profits and the natural resources. That's what we'll do. They are rolling the clock back at an immense clip right now, right in front of our eyes. Right in front of our eyes. Guys, we are already talking about, Jesus Christ, we're already talking about 20, 25 impeachable actions? Just war crimes being broadcast to the world that we're going to do? This is, I'm running out of words to describe, I really am running out of words to describe what we're currently witnessing. On every single front, the clock is being rolled back aggressively. We are going to a more primitive, more barbaric, more savage, insane time, right? And they are more than happy to lead the way. More than happy to lead the way. They're doing it domestically. They're doing it with foreign policy. They're doing it with the regulatory and administrative state. So here you go. This is Trump's enforcer, and he's openly talking about it on the stage here. And by the way, I didn't even mention this part. They will shake down the taxpayers and loot the treasury way more than USAID ever did. USAID was less than 1% of the budget. This guy, there's old stories about how the U.S. soldiers in Iraq used to be furious at the Blackwater mercenaries because they were getting paid double or triple what the soldiers were. So yeah, he's going to do the imperialism and the colonialism for Trump, but they're also going to shake down the taxpayers and get phenomenally wealthy at the same time because this is part of Trump's plan, is to let the robber barons loot the treasury and they have all the money and all the power. So it doesn't get any worse than this, man. I'll tell you that for sure. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.